Okay, well, welcome. We have a bunch of different grafters here that demonstrate what they do, the kind of graft they do. Marc Stadler is up here first, and he's going to show you how it goes on about grafting. Go ahead.
Thanks, Jeff. When it comes to grafting, it's like pitching. Everybody's got a different ball, right? People use different grafts, and some people have a specialty. There's some people who are better grafters than I am, probably. But what I want to demonstrate today is a very simple one. I think everybody should start with it. It's a cleft graft. Why I like to teach it? Because it's effective. If you do it right, there are a lot of factors. You got the Scion, you got the rootstock, the timing, and your carpentry. But if you do everything right, it's not that hard. You get 90% take. It's pretty darn good. And it's also safe. Remember your Boy Scout, Girl Scout days? When you cut, you don't cut towards you. You grab them, you cut away, cut away. So we're going to cut away. Except for one, not so much, but you will not hurt yourself when you do a cleft graft. There's some other grafts like whip and tongue. I don't like to teach people. We should have band-aids if we ever teach that, but it's a little even more effective than cleft. So just a quick review. Why do we graft, Susan?
So you can have a name cultivar on top of
right.
the stock.
It's a way of getting exactly what we want. And effectively, it's a clone, right? Mm-hmm. It's a clone. The other reason, very important, we get fruit a lot faster. You plant a seed in the ground, it takes a couple of years to get to this height. You graft it. Well, it probably, let's just say you don't graft it. A seedling in the ground, you probably will wait 8 years, I would say, to get fruit. With this is probably a year or two old. Clip it, graft it. If it's a vigorous variety, you'll get fruit within 3 years, if everything's right. 3 years versus 8 years. I don't know about you, but my time on earth is valuable to me, right? I want it now! So that's why we graft. You get what you want, and you get it soon. What could be better than that? Okay, so cleft graft. First thing we want to do is, this is a little bit of surgery. So we sterilize, sanitize our hands, your equipment. Pruners. And by the way, why use something that's toxic, right? Rubbing alcohol. It's poison, right? This is non-toxic, Everclear, 95 proof. If you need a little, pick me up in the afternoon. You can get it at Kroger's, but you need a site-like way. You got to say it's for horticultural use. But it's worth it. It's safe and it's good. Okay, so it's very simple. You can spend a lot of money on a grafting knife, and they do work really well. Single bevel. Clifford's got them for sale. If you want something fast, you can get this at Home Depot or Walmart, right? It's just one of those utility knives. Works fine. Pruners, simple. This is an interesting thing. I'll show that in a little while. If you're a little worried about making a good cut, you can do it with one of these things that you call a carpet or a utility knife. Just put it on the shears, you can get them on line now. A little bit of glue helps. Rubber bands, grafting rubbers, they're expensive. I really do like to use paraffin. It's a wax tape. You can use other types of tape, but this is biodegradable, and it works for me. You can get it online, paraffin. So let's get started.
Amazon?
Amazon, yes. Actively growing rootstock. That's what we call the bottom. This is probably 2 years old, actively growing. You can see it's already got a good start in the year. Apples you can do when they're dormant, not so much this. All right, so, and we got Scion wood. Scion wood was collected in probably early March, late February. Has to be dormant, and this is a really good piece of Scion wood. You can see how much space there is between the buds. See that? Really helps to have good straight Scion wood with the buds far apart.
Would electrical tape work in place of paraffin?
People do use it, yeah, and it collects the sunlight. It'll warm it up because heat's important, but you got to be careful. It's non-biodegradable, and you'll see with this it stretches a lot more than electrical tape. But if you're just wrapping it around the sector where you're grafting, a lot of people do use it. Pros do use it. Okay, so the important thing on a cleft graft, try to match up what they call the caliper. Basically, you're putting two pieces of wood together, and you want them to be the same size. So I want to graft somewhere probably around here, comfortable height, not too low. I want my fingers to be able to work. So I'm looking at this piece of Scion wood, Right around here. Now I want 2 buds. A lot of people use 3 buds. I just think 2 bud works a little better. Okay. I've got plenty of space below that lower bud to make my wedge cut, and then I'm going to cut it so I've got 2 buds on this piece. 2 buds. All right. First thing I want to do is prune this off. Remember what we said? We were going to go right here. Don't make it upside down. Everybody makes that mistake once. Go it upside down.
I trained the guy to grab and take him to the field. He grabbed his edge of the tree.
That's still great. That's still great. But try to find a spot here where there's no bud. You can rub the buds off.
It'll take him.
Okay, there we go. You can always go right?
The buds come
Okay,
out.
so-
The buds came out.
Okay, so a pretty good match there. Okay. Got my sign wood. Now, this is the one you gotta be a little careful of, but always use minimal pressure. You want to just rock it. You don't want to, just want to rock it down right in the middle. No pressure, no slipping, no sliding. Maybe about a ½ inch. You start right there. Okay, if you're really worried about it, get yourself a Kevlar glove. You can also do this. You got some old CDs, probably? Look at that. Can't get hurt. Nice safe way to do it. All right. So, now, this is where we make the wedge on the Scion wood. I'm going to make it about the same length as that cut, that slit I made. I'm going to go maybe 1 cut. Try to make it minimal amounts of cuts. I'm going to go about halfway through. Okay, try to make as straight a cut as possible. If you need to trim it up a little bit, you can. Go to the other side. I usually try to make it level. Hold it right there and go. I didn't go all the way through. I'm going to do it a little bit more. Just make, you want to make straight, even lines. There we go. That's your wedge. Okay. It's really pretty darn simple. There you go.
Is there an importance of how far you are from a bud on the Scion and on the rootstock, or is it?
Well, it is easier if you got a little bit of space there. See, I've got about 3/4 of an inch there, and when you wrap, you'll see that it does help that your bud is not right there near the cut.
Okay.
Okay, so you can almost do this blindfolded. I like to put my fingers there on each side of the cut and close my eyes, just kind of do it by feel. And I've made a pretty good match. And it's all right to leave some space in that Scion wood that's cut above it. If you actually, Dan taught me this why it happens. If you go too far and you've got wood that's overlapping, you'll get a big bulge there, right, Dan? When he demonstrated that at the nut meeting last month. So I want to show, we'll move it over just a little bit. And you'll see what I did. If you did it right, it looks like an inlet. You're familiar with carpentry? It's pretty darn close, right? It's that way on both sides. So I've lined up the cambia. It's what we call that green space that's where all the growing tissues are just below the bark. I'm going to line that up. That's where all those multiplying cells are. So we want a nice tight bond. So you can spend some money on some grafting rubbers, they call them, or you can go to Walmart again, keep your expenses down, start at the bottom, start wrapping, do 1 overlay right there, and while you're squeezing it, it's pretty much as tight as that rubber band will allow, and then make a little space for your tuck underneath.
So to prevent overlapping the wood, a little bit of the wedge is exposed?
A little bit, yeah, a little bit of the cut is exposed.
Okay.
See that?
Yeah. Okay.
That's fine. It's good to have a little bit. Okay, I'm just gonna put this over here. And I got a lot of extra. I could have used 3 on that. It's a nice tight wrap. Good. All right, we got a very nice tight. And this is necessary. I find it maybe helps a little bit just to prevent total dryness. If you're trying to trap moisture in, and this is probably one so you want that. It's not necessary, but it might help your results a little bit. Anyway, so that's just wood glue. Just wood glue.
Just the Elmer's.
That's wood glue. Let's see if I can get it more out, just to demonstrate it. More than I needed, just a little bit of, it really prevents it from drying out. Okay, now, parafilm. I'm just gonna give it a little pre-stretch here. They originally used this in laboratories to cover petri dishes. Okay, start at the bottom. Imagine you're putting on a roof, right? You start shingling at the bottom, overlay that first wrap. And what I'm going to do is wrap it fairly tight, but when I get to a bud, I want to make sure that I don't have two layers. You're overlapping a little bit. When that bud, you want to give it plenty of chance to go through. They have a lot of energy, but give it all the chance you can give it by just one layer of that parafilm. And then when I get to the top, it's like a little Dairy Queen twist. And I'll just tighten some of the overlaps there. We got a good moisture barrier there, so it's going to stay nice and moist. And final, we have one more little tip here. You don't want the UV going into that joint. UV kills callousing cells, so I like to put a little bit of foil on there just to cover it up, keep it nice and dark in there. And there you go. It's that simple. And then, of course, if you're my age, definitely have to live with it. A year from now, maybe a month, a week from now. What did I put on there? Right, this afternoon. Yeah, this afternoon. Yeah, where did I park my car? Okay.
200 grafts.
Yeah. Okay, so overlease, I put my date, 5/20, 23. And I just put a little C for cleft. Just to, it's fun to just remember what type of graft you use. As I said, I like to use whip and tone also. I'm using it more and more. It's a little bit more effective. It's a little dicier because you are making some cuts to your thumb. You can use gloves.
That stick again?
What's that?
You can use that leftover stick again?
Yeah, there.
Yes, there's more. Look at that. I mean, on one of those sticks, I mean, I could probably get 3 trees out of there. That's why it's economical. You think about it, you can spend $65 on a grafted tree, or you get your hands on a seedling. We were talking about how you can actually dig a sucker up. There's really good luck with digging them. I had not so much good luck, but start your own from seed in the basement. If you have questions about starting germinating seeds, Susan is great at that. She's a pro. Starting from seeds, seeds are free a lot of times. John.
About putting a stick in there for a bird.
Good point, good point. If you're in an area where there are birds, and there are birds, and there's wind, I like to put a little,
Or you put it
I
back
put
behind
a,
the
just
wall.
put a little stake. It can be anything, a stick, some leftover grafting material, this thing. Cut the leaves off, put it in the ground next to that, so a bird will rest on this and not, because it's a little bit fragile. I mean, that thing, you saw how much, I wrapped it really well. It's secure, but if a big bird gets on there, or you get a big windstorm, and you get this much, you can get this much growth in 1 year. You treat it right, some fertilizer, the right amount of sun. You can have full sun. This has been in the sun. No need to shade it. But a windstorm or a bird, it's really sad to see a graft. It breaks off after you've really had a good graft. So